Natural? 51 years old?
What do you think of Tyson and Jake?
I wish he didn't do it. I wish it wasn't a thing. I wish it wasn't a thing where a 58-year-old guy was going to fight a 28-year-old. That said, that out the window.
If you're Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
If you're Mike Tyson, you know. I mean, even Paul, bro. Paul is not a small guy.
No.
He's big. Like a lot of guys think he's tiny. He's a huge boy.
He's a big dude, and he can crack.
Yeah.
And I always say that people look at him like a guy who is a YouTuber, and they're denying his skills.
Not anymore, bro. Before, when he first was coming out, that's the way.
A celebrity. This was not for some charity. No. We're gonna do this. And Jake Paul, they asked Jake Paul, did he take his foot off the gas? Stephen A, this is what he said. Yeah, definitely a bit. I wanted to give the fans a show, but I didn't want to hurt someone that didn't need to be hurt.
Yeah.
Wow. Hopefully, he's made enough money. Steve.
Joe Rogan confronted Jake Paul following his victory over Mike Tyson in a highly anticipated fight. At 58, Tyson, once the most feared heavyweight in boxing, stepped into the ring against Paul, the controversial YouTuber turned boxer known for headline-grabbing events. Hosted by Netflix in its first foray into combat sports, the spectacle drew 72,300 fans to Dallas Cowboys Stadium and millions worldwide. For Tyson's supporters, the outcome was disappointing. Jake Paul secured an unanimous decision victory. Rogan, a longtime admirer of Tyson, summed up his reaction on X, formerly Twitter, with 3 poignant words: "Asterisk magic isn't real asterisk." Tyson showed flashes of brilliance in the first round, landing a few sharp left hooks, but his age and physical limitations were evident. Wearing a knee brace and moving stiffly, he struggled to keep up with Paul's youth, speed, and 31-year age advantage. By the third round, Paul had taken control, landing 78 punches to Tyson's 18. While Tyson's defense minimized damage, his offense faded quickly, leaving fans questioning if the fight should have happened at all.
So you can say whatever you want about Jake Paul. I don't think he's a great boxer. I don't think he's a good boxer. I think he's a great marketer. And he held Mike up. And Mike didn't have any spring in his step, as I've said many, many times. If Mike doesn't get you in the first round, he's not going to get you. Jake Paul is probably a better boxer. Well, certainly now. But I just didn't want Mike embarrassed. That's all. And then when he said he wanted to fight Jake Paul's brother, I go, no, Mike, we're not going to do this again. 60 million households tuned in for that, or at least tried to with Netflix. The undercard was great. The women, awesome. And then all of a sudden, you're watching, and there weren't any real standout punches, no real flurries or anything like that. And Mike biting on his gloves he says he has a biting fixation. Oh, we know that, Mike. But Mike got paid, and Jake Paul is going to take on somebody else again. Go back to when Jake Paul fought Nate Robinson.
By the end of the 8-round exhibition, Tyson looked exhausted, his once legendary knockout power absent. In contrast, Paul appeared composed and in control, delivering a solid performance despite sparking skepticism. Joe Rogan wasn't alone in his disappointment. Fans had hoped for a Cinderella story, a final flash of Tyson's magic to further solidify his legacy. Instead, reality set in. Having not fought professionally since 2005, Tyson was visibly drained by the third round, his age and inactivity impossible to ignore.
Hopefully, he's made enough money, Stephen A, with this fight that he doesn't have to do this anymore.
I don't know.
He called we saw Holyfield try to fight at 58, and he got knocked out. Man, let it go. It's time to let it go. Time out, Mike. You had your time. You're one of the great heavyweights of all time. But it's time to set this stuff aside.
Well, I'm always torn between, because I actually like Jake Paul.
Joe Rogan, a longtime admirer of Mike Tyson's explosive career, couldn't hide his disappointment as one of the 65 million viewers tuning into Netflix's historic combat sports debut. Like many, he had hoped for a miracle, a Tyson upset against all odds. Instead, it was Jake Paul who stole the spotlight. Love him or hate him, Paul continues to make headlines. After the fight, he wasted no time teasing future matchups, even hinting at a showdown with Mexican boxing superstar Canelo Alvarez. Now 11-1 as a professional, with his only loss to Tommy Fury last year, Paul's confidence is soaring. He's aiming for even bigger names, riding high after 5 consecutive wins. For Tyson, however, the fight raised serious questions about his future in the ring. Despite brief glimpses of his former self, the 58-year-old struggled to keep up and later admitted uncertainty about fighting again. With a storied career of 57 wins, including 44 knockouts, Tyson's legacy is untouchable. But this chapter wasn't the ending fans had hoped for. Critics argue that spectacles like this turn boxing into a sideshow, but the hype and revenue are undeniable. Tyson vs. Paul drew a star-studded crowd and shattered records for a streaming combat event. Yet for purists like Rogan, the fight left a bitter aftertaste, a reminder that legends, too, are bound by time.
Mike Tyson had that moment for himself and his family. I'm happy to hear that he's better health-wise. I'm certainly happy he got that bag. I think it was about $20 million that he got for the night. On that surface, I'm very, very happy for him. I wish him nothing but the best. All of us who love boxing will forever be fans of Mike Tyson. Mad love and respect to him. He looked bad. He looked like somebody that was in a hospital months earlier. He looked like somebody that, as he described, who lost a lot of blood, lost a lot of weight, etc. I watched Mike Tyson walking to the ring. He stumbled while he was walking to the ring. Then they looked lower when the camera angle zoomed out, and he had a knee brace on his right knee. He got in the ring, he looked old, he looked slow. I want to make sure that I'm clear about what I'm about to say. Under no circumstances do I believe it was something that was preordained, but I believe that when Jake Paul was in the ring with Mike Tyson, there was something that said to him, I can't do this. I'm not going to try to knock him out. He's Mike Tyson. He's 58 years old. He's 31 years older than me. I know I can take him. I don't need to do this. And for those who would question it, I will remind y'all that there have been moments in boxing where we've seen fighters.
Jake Paul secured his 11th professional win, but the celebration has been muted. The backlash has been relentless, with both fans and critics labeling the fight everything from a staged event to a waste of time. Social media erupted with comments like, "You're a 27-year-old fighting a 58-year-old. Is that really a win?" Others argued that had Paul lost, it would have been the embarrassment of the century. Now that he's won, the prevailing sentiment seems to be, "Congratulations, you beat a legend past his prime."
You know what I expected? Professional boxing match. Not a high-level professional boxing match, not a back-and-forth competitive one. I expected a boxing match where there was going to be a winner and a loser and both were going to try. And I expected Mike to get stretched, right? I expected him to be dangerous for a round, maybe a round and a half, and then it would clutch up with him and he'd get stopped. And it looked like it was heading that way in round 3. Instead, what we got would have been worse, is actually in a lot of ways, my opinion, worse than had Mike taken the beating and got knocked out, which we wouldn't want for him, but he signed up for this, and so did we, by the way, right? So what we got was pro wrestling. What we got was not a fight. It was awful. And even there was a short period of what you thought you were guaranteed to get, which is Mike emptying the tank in the first 30 seconds and at least, seeing how Jake dealt with that. Both just left open periods where they could have punched and did nothing, as if they're protecting one another. And then, obviously after Jake hurt him in round 3, he could have finished him off with a hard jab probably, but carried him the distance. You can't do the I'm going to up aerial routine and the slap and all that on Thursday and then do this pro wrestling here. So what did I expect? A fight, because it was Mike Tyson who pushed for this to be a fight. So whatever it was going to be, as bad or as gross or as sloppy, we accepted that. We were going to judge it for its entertainment value and the time we took to preview this and get, and get ready for it. But they're showing us that it was pro wrestling in the end, and Jake carried him, and yet some people out here are still saying, I can't believe Jake couldn't knock out Mike. Like,